the mainline churches, which are the kind of majority churches in American culture, the ones that have existed for many years and in the past had a lot of cultural influence. So I don't know that they really have any at this point. It is kind of sad, the fact that every city you go to, every beautiful church building, you see it in the distance and you're like, I wonder what kind of church is that? You just know it's not an Orthodox church in any way. Orthodox in the broad sense, not Eastern Orthodox. And it's going to be some kind of Episcopal church that probably has no real theology, or PCUSA church, which is the most liberal of the Presbyterian churches, that probably has no real conviction. That's just what you expect. And so it's like all the places that have any history and beauty, and they're all just places that you don't want to go. There's a loss of orthodoxy. So there are people within our mainline churches, there are a number of very Orthodox Episcopalians, for example, in Texas, that have remained within the Episcopal churches and try to preserve orthodoxy inside. I think there are a number of challenges, of course, that come with that. One of those is just the loneliness a lot of, at least pastors I talk to in those churches feel, because it's like they always feel like they're fighting, which means it almost like never feels like they can relax in their church.
That's not a healthy place to be.
And that's I do worry about that spiritually. Yeah. And the other difficulty is what might be enforced in these churches. And this is kind of where our mainline churches are at right now. And I know this is something that's facing everybody is what once was, well, our church has to be okay with these practices, but it's okay if you don't practice these things or believe these things, is now becoming, you have to accept certain lifestyles or promote certain things that are going to really make it impossible for pastors to remain and Orthodox people to remain in those churches. So, at the point that you are forced to participate in something that is sinful, you don't make compromise just to stay in the good graces of the church. And at some point you say, well, I have to obey God rather than man. And you figure it out, whatever that looks like. For a piece of hope, though, I will say what's happening to a lot of the liberal churches right now is that they're dying. People aren't going. The less it is expected for people to be part of a church, the less people will go to liberal churches. The only reason liberal churches exist for the most part is social expectation. And that's why the Episcopal churches in the U.S., it was just kind of a social status thing. All the important people go, so they'll go. Well, guess what? Kids and grandkids of those who are, still in those churches, where it was at one time kind of expected, they don't go. Yeah. Because it's not passed on. There's no reason for it.
It's not expected anymore.
So to some degree, I feel like within a generation or two, I think it may just die its own natural death. And I think you may be left with a situation where the only people who even want to be involved in the church at all are Orthodox.